Hi, I'm Debbie Meighan. I'm a residential realtor with Washington Fine Properties in Northern Virginia, and I'm here with my friend and loan officer for Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Kim Jungles.
Hi, great to be here, Debbie.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was interviewing Larry Hayes, who's a home inspector that I use, and we were talking about how our buyers can start bringing home inspections back into our transactions without losing a competitive edge. And it got me thinking, as like, what tricks does Kim Jungles have up her sleeve to make people who need financing more competitive when sometimes we're up against cash offers?
Mm-hmm. So there's two contingencies that come into play on a contract, and that's the appraisal contingency and the finance contingency. In regard to the appraisal contingency, whenever you have an address that you're going to be making an offer on, she's always going to send that to me, and I'm going to run it through automated underwriting to see if we get what's called a property inspection waiver. If we get one of those, that means you do not have to have the appraisal done at all. So before that offer even goes in, we know, do we have to have the appraisal at all? No. Well, then you can waive that appraisal contingency very, very confidently. The second thing is maybe you do have to have the appraisal done, but the big thing right now is talking about appraisal gaps, saying like if I have a $450 sales price and the appraisal comes in at $425, all of a sudden we have a $25,000 difference. How do we deal with that? And we've already waived the appraisal contingency, but the buyer is going, oh my gosh, how do I come up with $25,000? Well, if they're putting down more than the minimum down payment, let's just say 20%, we can have them come to the table with the same amount of money. Their loan to value just changes to something like 85%, and then we add mortgage insurance. But that's good for them to know ahead of time. It's something that we as loan officers are going to prepare them for so that they understand that they don't have to bring more cash to the table. We're just going to be adding mortgage insurance for a short term. So that's one of the ways that we can deal with the appraisal contingency. In regard to the finance contingency, this is a little bit trickier because you have to understand that, up until the day you close, actually 5 days before you close, we have to do what's called a verification of employment. It's a final one. And that's where we're contacting your HR department to make sure that you're still employed. What happens if you lose a job at the last minute and you've waived that financing contingency? That's a little scary, right? So we need to be careful with that. When a realtor calls me and says, hey, Kim, can we waive the financing contingency? My pat answer is literally this: to this date, everything looks amazing. We've verified everything, and if nothing changes, we're good to go. But what happens between that moment and the day before closing is not completely up to me. So it's a risk-based decision that the actual buyer needs to make.
Those are good points, Kim. I don't know if you know, but our actual NVAR contract has periodic updates. And the one in January made some significant changes that I think really helps buyers. And it affects, financing. So one of the
Tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Exactly. So one of the things that it allows us to do is even if we check off that we're not contingent upon financing or appraisal, it allows us to check another box to allow an appraiser access to the house, because a lot of times people were getting caught up. It's like, oh, well, I've waived appraisal and I've waived financing, but they haven't given permission. The seller still needs to give permission for an appraiser to come onto the property. So that will help us out there. And actually, as inspections go, it actually will say, we know you've waived inspections, but we'd like access during this time, truly for informational purposes.
Very cool.
So now that we have this tool, it's a little bit more transparent, and I think it really helps, because even when someone has the ability to be cash, a lot of times they don't really want to be cash. So, especially with, interest rates have gone up some and it's been a little volatile, but, I think that people still feel that the interest rates are low enough that they'd rather keep their cash and do the financing, don't you think?
Oh yeah, most financial advisors will tell you all day long that they love for you to have a mortgage simply because some of that can be written off for tax purposes. So, and historically speaking, as Debbie mentioned, we're still looking at very, very low interest rates. In 1981, the interest rate going interest rate was 18.1%. Crazy. So when we're looking in the fours right now, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Well, this has been really helpful. I think that this is really good information for us to have and helps us write better offers for our buyers. And, when we work together with your loan officer and your title company and your home inspector, it really makes for a better experience for our clients.
Yep, it was great talking to you guys.
Yeah.